Hello everybody, welcome to your own Baithak TV show, Pakistan's Face in Canada. And I am your host, HostTauseeq Aziz. And just like every other episode, in today's episode we will be discussing Pakistani's success in Saskatoon, which is the city of Saskatchewan. And in today's show, we will be a little bit political, and we will be having politics discussions in today's show. As the tagline of this TV show says, Pakistan's Face in Canada, so where we talk about Pakistan's food, culture, sports, festival, and of course the Pakistanis living in Canada. And this show is actually basically is dedicated to all the Pakistani citizens residing in this beautiful country. So today, without any further delay, I'll take a moment to introduce our very valuable guest in today's Baithak TV show, and I am delighted and I am honored to have Mr. Naveed Anwar, who is a leader of Sask Liberal. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time. How was your day today?
So far, very good. Fantastic. Just attended Pride Parade in Saskatoon. It is my pleasure to be also in Regina last weekend. Though it was raining today, but a colorful day.
Yeah, it's absolutely colorful day. And I know that you have been very tight schedule day to day. You have back-to-back meetings. How does your busy schedule and how does your one day look like?
Well, shuttling between one to another program and attending different events. Of course, that's part of my job, and I love to have. That's why I chose the path. And I always feel very energetic when I attend and I meet as many as people I can.
Exactly.
It is make my day.
Just like a typical day for any other politician, which is very busy, of course.
Of course, yeah. Any politician take a responsibility. Is such kind of I am doing it. Almost every politician does the same way, and it's with passion. It's a full-time job, and without the passion and without the love,
Exactly.
you can't run a whole day or month after month.
Yeah, exactly. For today's show, I will definitely make myself sure that having Mr. Naveed Anwar in today's show, that I will be making rest of the hour very beneficent for all of us, for all the listeners out there. We can learn from his great past, and we can definitely going to adopt such great things from his future plans. I personally know you very well, and I am very glad to know you. But for our listeners, we definitely want to know about your education. Do you have a related education regarding this politics?
As you are aware, I run a small accounting firm. So my background was that I have done some part of my finance, of course, from Pakistan back in 80s. I completed my bachelor degree in statistics and mathematics. And then I went to Concordia University, and my major was finance. So on the basis of that one, I opened the business which is related to the finance. But once I jumped into politics back in especially in 2010, I started also learning and studying.
And that was in Canada, 2010?
Yes, the politics. So 2 years ago, I completed my master's in political science.
So talking about the degree, I hope that you don't believe the degree is degree, but no matter what type of degree is.
No,
a
I
very
do.
famous statement from Pakistani politicians.
That's true. But at the end of the day, enhancing education, of course, enhance your ability to interact with other people and exchange the ideas and learn more about it. So I believe so. Education is the best thing in any person's life.
Exactly. So it's very beneficent of having related background and relevant education in past what you are doing right now. So you do have a political background. Like Is the politics in your family, like somebody from your father, your grandfather, were they politicians as well? That's something you got from your family?
In quite a few interviews, I always asked some kind of question that what is your background in politics? I am one of the blessed guy. First ever in Pakistan was the democratic process started back in '64 when the basic democratic system at then dictator introduced for the primary elections, and my father took in part in that one, and he became the first ever in a couple of villages. Then it was 3 villages together, 1 council, so he became a member of the council.
And which province of Pakistan we're talking about here?
That we're talking about Punjab.
Punjab,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So talking about your dad, you do have a strong family structure who belongs to politics and stuff.
Yeah, in a way, my younger brother is at the moment. He was previously involved, but at the moment he is the president of teacher association at the Punjab University, which is about 600 staff members. So it's a quite honor.
Exactly. Were you involved in students' politics when you were in university or in college? How does your student life look like if we take a moment to go back to your past?
Yes and no, because what happened is when I entered into the college life from high school, there was a dictatorship in Pakistan. Ziaul government was in effect, and then student union were allowed. In our second year, the union were banned. So we have a very brief time to practice in any student politics. But when unions were banned, we had protested against that, and I am I don't know, it's called blasted, I call it the other way around, and for that I was jailed for 9 days by the army regime. I have seen the Pakistani jail, which is nobody wish to be.
And is that true when they say that you are not politician if you haven't gone to jail, even for a night?
Well, it's depending on the where you are. Like in subcontinent, yes. But if in Canada, if you have such even a stain of you've been charged or some reasons,
you
are considered to be you're not. No party will take you as their candidate because it's considered to stain.
Exactly.
But because in subcontinent it's always an issue. There's so many cases are on political basis, not on the reality. So that's why. It's give you kind of in your resume a plus point.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and well, since I don't have any political past and I don't personally have experience in politics, especially in Pakistan, I have seen you guys campaigning, and then I have witnessed a couple elections in living in Saskatoon. But I don't know if it's fortunate to have this statement or this truth that it's you are a good politician if you have been in jail for a night or not. So I don't know how should we take that. You said that you started your politics in Canada in 2010, right?
In a provincial politics, yes.
Yes.
But I ran for a council in Montreal back in 90s. Newly migrated to Canada, but I had opportunity to run and learn about it, how the Canadian politics is, and to participate. I had also honor to be on a couple of federal campaign as a campaign manager.
Exactly.
And once I moved to Saskatchewan in 2008, I was lucky and blessed that I got the nomination for one of the political party, and I ran as a candidate in 2011.
Exactly. So, and I'm like talking to you, I'm getting those vibes that you are, mashallah, very experienced politician, and I don't see that you have only 9 years experience. I see you have much more than that. So did you actually started your political career in Pakistan?
Not much about it. As I said, because union were banned, and then we cannot practice any political activity in college. So that was my college second year. So then, of course, the 2 more years I studied, and then also took some professional courses and moved to North America. So I didn't have a chance much to participate in Pakistani politics other than the student life.
Yeah, is it a huge difference when we talk about politics in Pakistan and Canada?
The basic rules are same. The service to the people, connecting with the people. But then, of course, there is, depending on where you are, there's always small difference. But the major is always the same. There's even anywhere in the world, it's the same rules is that you are there to serve the people as well as to connect and listen them rather than telling them what to do. You have to represent the people.
Exactly. So making promises and meeting more people as you're heading closer to elections, is that the same thing in Canada, or that's something only in Pakistan?
I guess that's more in Pakistan, because here you don't promise it which you can't hold it. If we see the Pakistani politics, then they always tell you this was the campaign slogan or campaign promise, but now reality is other way around. But not in Canada. Whatever you promise, you try to do 90% at least. And you always whatever you promise or whatever you say, you always talk about fact base, and you try best to follow that route or path. On the contrary, if you look into subcontinent, it's always there is a two different version of the politics.
Exactly. Because now, again, purpose of doing the show and talking and discussing about Pakistani politics as well, beside the Canadian politics, that our main purpose is not to disgrade any region in the world, but those are some things that we need to avoid, and then we already have learned some good things from living in Canada that we need to adopt and we need to continue. So Naveed Anwar is here with us today on Baithak TV show, and we are talking about, of course, about his political career, and we will definitely have much more to know, great things about him. So stay tuned and keep watching Baithak TV show right on Shah Spotlight, Pakistan's Face in Canada. We will be right back after a short commercial break. Welcome back. You guys are watching your own Baithak TV show, and we are having a very fruitful discussion with the leader of Sask Liberal, Mr. Naveed Anwar. Before going on break, we definitely talked about his early years in politics in Pakistan and Canada. My curiosity is that when you came to Canada, and that is something that all of us have experienced, that the weather, the environment and the infrastructure, everything is totally different than Pakistan. You must have faced some difficulties in Canada.
Not really. One of the reason is for my practical life a little bit in Pakistan. I lived out of my home, especially in Islamabad, for a few years. And then I had a chance to live in US, New York for 2 years for my studies. So when I moved to Canada back in '92, not much, but one of the beauty about it, when I moved from my village to the college and to Islamabad and all to New York, when I moved to Canada, it was such a peaceful, it was such a transition.
Yes.
And the country itself is the most peaceful country on earth, as well as the people of Canada are such a great and encouraging as well as polite. I never imagined it that I will encounter such kind people.
So that's the major difference you felt between US and Canadian nation.
Of course, there's a huge difference between south of the border and the north of the border. Of course, that's why we have a border. So
being polite is one of the main difference?
Yeah, they are very cooperative. They are always there to help you, and it's like a family to you. The Canadian people, the way they treat you. Well, south of the border, you always treated as like business-minded people, more like to it, we can call it.
And how does your journey in politics look like? when you started and where you're standing right now?
After moving to Canada, I had a chance to work in a law firm, and then that was a very big period when a lot of the people are moving to this country. I had a chance to connect with thousands of people, and at one point there was a referendum in Quebec. Basically, what we could call it Canada referendum, because this was an issue, separation from the Canada. So I had first time ever chance to get into Canadian politics and learn how the politics are working in this country, how politely we object to our opponent, and I will listen them rather than we throw mudsling on other ones, rather than we give our point of view and they give their point of view, and then the other people has to decide. The people of Canada have to decide it. So I learned the politics in a nicer way. Then I decided why not, because of little bit background in my college time. I had a chance to be both the junior college and senior college in bachelor degree too, the president of the Hostel Association. So being a small experience in politics, I took part. Of course, back in '96 there was the first election when after becoming a Canadian citizen, because that's a primary prerequisite for you to be to run in any politics. So you have to be Canadian citizen. So in '94 I became a citizen. The first election came in where I was living in Montreal. So I had a chance to participate, and one of the best practice I can.
And which party was it?
Municipal election are non-party basis, so I ran as a.
Okay. Well, that's very nice. So since you had a political experience in Pakistan, I'm sure that there would be definitely key things you must have already adapted, which helped you in order to perform in Canadian politics. So if we very briefly go over the few things, which really helped you.
Like I previously said, that the first thing is that you have to have in your inside that you are here to serve. Not to be kind of I'm a special. Even you have to be the last person sitting in the room rather than the front row guy, because you want to promote the will of the people, not your will. So I learned in Pakistan as well, as that's why depending on you be the judge or any other person be the judge, I cannot judge myself. So I believe I am trying my best to be representing the best way my community, my city, my province.
Exactly. Like if I specifically ask a question like why specifically politics? Like I mean, you have exposure in Pakistan and a little bit of in US, and of course you had tons of other opportunities in Canada. So why specifically politics as a career?
There's a lot of thank you for asking me such a question. Wonderful question. There's, like you said, there's quite a few. You can go socially, you can go morally or politically. There's quite a venue you can take it. One of the problem is when I moved to Saskatchewan, we had a small issue here, particularly one community rather than all other community in one basket, and the one community was singled out by the immigration department here, and I lead in that reference, and then I was told there is a deficit in the community of representation. So I'm blessed that I've been asked by the community to represent them, and that's why I came into the politics. That was the first door opening to fulfill that deficiency in the community.
Exactly. So, well, I am surprised that that you did not answer that question the way, because it's a very generic answer that I have experienced while I was researching about this particular episode of Baithak. What I came across, a typical answer to this question from politicians, that I joined politics, there's no difference because everybody, even a random citizen does politics, like everybody is politician in their circle of life. Do you believe in that? That even if we are not participating in elections, we are not nominated by any specific political party, like, are we still politicians like everybody does politics?
My belief is other way around.
Mm-hmm.
When, like I said, the deficiency is one of the factor in that one. But what motivate me that why I should continue and why should I run for the office is that last 28 years in this country I got a lot. This country has given me too much,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a time to pay back.
Exactly.
This is one of the venue you can use politics to pay back to the country, to the communities.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe what you call it in Urdu, I don't know Arabic, abada. So I guess that's the politics should be,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm taking that route.
Like worshipping,
Like service.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So if we
yeah.
specifically talk about like serving people,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Which is part of worshipping, and you have to serve people.
Right.
And then, as you said, like this is the time to pay back to people. If we little bit want to know a bit of your goals in near future being politician.
You see, I don't set a specific goal.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is that when you are anxious, when you are looking for something, then you set the goal for that one.
Okay.
When you have other people goal,
Mm-hmm.
I am here to fulfill other people goals.
Other people.
If tomorrow someone within a community is better than me to lead, I will myself set aside, and then I will encourage.
Mm-hmm.
And I am still doing it, and I will do in the future too. If someone is better than me, even if someone is
Exactly.
equal to me,
Yeah.
I will give opportunity that person to lead. So I'm not here to gain anything. I'm here to give.
Mm-hmm. So, if you want to give advice to people, the why they should join politics.
You see, back of mind, we always belong to subcontinent. We always think about the politics is a lucrative
Mm-hmm.
business.
Yeah.
That's why when the word used politics, the people get offended with that.
Mm-hmm.
When we live in this society for so many years, like myself, I consider now more Canadian than Pakistani. The reason is I spent 26 years in Pakistan, and I'm spending it 28 years. So I passed that peak.
Yeah.
So I always consider myself more inclined toward the Canadian style.
Exactly.
When I take the politics, I take it service.
Mm-hmm.
We should maybe change the word politics to the service, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But now this question might sound not really professional, but you must have experienced politicians. They claim to be server of the people, but their intentions are not. They might be taking politics as a job and taking as a platform where they can be wealthier by choosing that as a fast track. So, have you experienced such politicians?
In Canada, we don't see. It's a very rare case you find one or two out of thousands of people that think that way.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's always occurred after a certain time when you are in kind of that pool of the politicians, and then you start maybe thinking on that route that I am superior than I am senior than anybody else, and then I have a right to be. But I haven't seen so vast majority of the Canadian politicians that they think that way. Most of them always there to serve,
Mm-hmm.
and they are serving very good.
Mm-hmm. So, like, in liberal, like, what do you see the difference being a leader of liberal, and then when you were when you participated in a different party, or running on your own without any party, as you talked about the Montreal, which one is the easier? This question is actually particularly for the people who are willing to join politics.
You see, in Canada or any Western democracy, the party is a kind of franchisee.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a name, they have a policy, everything is built. So without the party in Western democracy, it's very difficult to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you are a star in any given country, is the different story.
Yeah.
But without the party, almost any politician is probably about maybe a 10% support, or 90% is because of the party. Without the political system or political party, very difficult to survive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm enjoying the discussion. I'm personally learning a lot, and I don't know if I chose to be a politician at the end of the show, but I'll announce it because we are having a really productive discussion. Stay tuned, keep watching Baithak, the TV show, and we'll be right back after a short commercial break. Welcome back to the show, and you're watching your own Baithak TV show, Pakistan's Face in Canada. And as I mentioned earlier, that today's episode is being very informative for me at least, and I'm fully confident that every listener is going to learn a lot from this, because we are having our very own honorable leader of Sask Liberal. And now I would like to know more about policies from the Liberal Party. When you became as a leader of Sask Liberal, there must have been so much on your shoulders already.
Yeah, because since about 5-6 years, I'm very actively involved in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blessed that I made a record of, in any given constituency, the membership in terms of nomination. I had 750 members, which is the record ever in Saskatchewan history happened. So there's a lot of people have expectation, especially my community have expectation that I represent them positively. I tried my best, and since I became a leader of Saskatchewan Liberal, I have a more responsibility.
Exactly.
So I have to look twice on my over my shoulders, and I'm trying my best to present a positive image of my community.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So of course you had the education, you had the background in politics, but contesting elections on your own and to the becoming as a leader, what were the things that, if you look at the back, you think that it really helped? That can be like a good habit of being a politician. Like what are the things that you adapt and really helped you to become a leader of this party?
Year after year, of course, you can't be you cannot get nomination in this democratic system or a leadership or any level. You cannot exceed if you do not have a support from the people of your electoral district, or depending on your city, or depending on if you go wide level at the province level, like which I am. Connecting with the people is, if you I have seen some politician who show up only during the election, and then they expect that the people will vote for them. It's a continuous effort, year round, day after day. You have to be helping people, listening people, and solving their problem whatever you can.
Exactly.
That's the basic necessity of any political person in anywhere, regardless of in this country or any other country.
Believe it or not, being a citizen, if I'm talking about myself, who was not born in Canada, but when we talk about government or implementing specific policies in this system, the very first thing pop up in our minds, no matter where we belong to, is immigration. And we have seen that from the day one, when Justin Trudeau has become a Prime Minister of Canada, we have seen significant improvements in immigration. So what is your stance about it? Like, what are the priorities regarding immigrations from Liberal Party?
You see, that's the like you mentioned it, the Prime Minister of Canada. Of course, the immigration is a federal jurisdiction. It's not a provincial. At the end of the final decision, what we are talking about when it's granting anybody the residency, and Liberals is the major so far last 50 years history. The federally, they are the major party who always support in a major way the immigration. Provincially, because I am a provincial leader, so provincially we are running in this province the program. It's called Saskatchewan Nominee Program. This program was existed forever, but it came into light back in 2007 when a lot of migration happened in this province. Influx of the people was in, but unfortunately. The government did not know anything about immigration, how it happened. They do not have any consultation. They were only taking in the people, but they don't know how to manage it. In 2012, the family program was capped. You can say it was closed. At that time, the federal government allowed them to take a 4,000 application per year. For nomination, but in inventory there was a 12,000 application. So the government don't know what they are doing. So they got scared. They closed the program, and as of today, it's still closed, and they don't know how to manage the program.
And that we're talking about the family nomination.
Family nomination, yes. So it's still, even though then was Jason Kenney was the Minister of Immigration, Harper was the Prime Minister, and it was province was saying that federally was capped. Was blocked, was asked to scrap this program. And when you talk to the federal government, they say no, province asked us. So both are blaming each other. But let's see, put aside all those, who's blame who. As of today, the federal government has announced, everybody knows, that 20,000 application for the parent and grandparent. This is another kind of family reunification. So why this province don't open that one? There should be some. I know they have a 7,000 nowadays approximately nomination allowed. So why they don't put 1,000 for the family reunification or 2,000, whatever the amount there? But they are not interested still. My problem is that I wanted to see my family at the Christmas day dinner, at the Eid, at Baithak festival, or anything on my table with me. And the federal government is trying the best to do in terms of parents and grandparents. Why not the provincial government is doing such a thing?
I think in a very good manner, you have already pretty much covered my next point, that while welcoming immigrants from other countries in huge number over past few years, Liberal government has faced so much anger and frustration from a small but still group of people in Canada. So what was the stance from Liberal Party regarding that frustration?
But you see, whatever the program you represent, depending on your political belief, the other party automatically will object in some point. Sometimes it's constructive. You can amend your program according to needs, but most of the time it's just for the sake of argument. Some political leader will object to it, even they don't know what they're talking about. Recently, I have a chance to one of the politicians here in Saskatchewan, and the person asked me to send questions that what they can ask for in Lech. I was surprised and shocked. This person is on a portfolio but don't know what about immigration is. Last 10 years I'm in Saskatchewan. It's my 11th year now. I haven't seen vast majority of the people they have ever contacted and asked them what the way they overhaul the immigration. Immigration is for the people, from the people. They are not asking. Some bureaucrats are sitting in their offices and they don't know what immigration is, and they are making policies. We have to look over, we have to rethink in a new way because Canada is the land of immigrant. How are we going to survive in? There is a 46 industry connected to the immigration. Look at the Vancouver, BC. Look at the Quebec. Look at the Ontario. They are thriving, and we are where we are standing here. $11 wage, where others are offering $15 wage. I don't know what this government what will do about the immigration. They are always capsizing on it.
So do they have any future goals for specifically for this province in regards to immigration?
If we listen to the Minister of Immigration here, it seems like he don't have any idea. What the federal government tells him, according to him, he do. But he don't have his own program. Where is the Saskatchewan program? Where is the tailor-made program? Why they are not listening to the people of Saskatchewan? Why they don't want to make a program that fit for the Saskatchewan?
So they will be. Are they being fueled with the suggestions or requests from the Saskatchewan leadership? Of course, you.
They have to listen. It's not necessary they have to listen me, but they have to listen to people. They have to listen all the groups who are directly affected with the immigration, either positive or negative. You have to take both sides and then form a policy which is beneficial to this province.
Exactly. So talking about the immigration, I would better direct our conversation towards the students because having mosaic, because Canada is actually like a mosaic, right? Because this is Canadian nation is made of different nations. It's full of diversity. So talking about immigrations, we also have a huge number of international students, right? What are the policies that students or specifically international students can be benefited?
Another drawback we have from our provincial government at present provincial government is that they are not promoting Saskatchewan internationally the way they should. If you look at our neighboring provinces, Alberta, Manitoba, there are more students coming to those provinces than us, than our province. We are not promoting as many international students. Of course, they are the pioneer coming, the best brains they are coming to province, and they are paying their own tuition fees. But then you can utilize that brain, you can take advantage of that brain. But I don't know what's happening to our politicians. They are just thinking in front of their nose. They are not looking around how we can. Another reason is the whole Canada is looking for the English test scoring is 6.5 bands. Saskatchewan is 7.5. I know it's a good standard, but are you with the Canada or you have a special circumstances? We should be par with every other province. In terms of wages, we are lower, but in other standard we are too high. We should be somewhere. Why not then wages $15? Exactly. Why not that Saskatchewan have a $15 wage if the other provinces? So why $17 if you want to keep the same standard 7.5 bands rather than 6 to other provinces, 6.5. So make the wages too then higher than other provinces. But their calculation, their standards are totally offset.
Big questions being discussed in this session of the program, that why Saskatchewan wages are lower than the other provinces and why the requirements for specifically international students and other immigration categories are a bit more strict than the other provinces. There are a lot more to come in Baithak right here. Keep watching Baithak TV show Pakistan's Face in Canada. We'll be back right after a short commercial break. Welcome back, listeners. You are watching your own Baithak TV show, and again, we were talking about the immigrations and students specifically, and then the differences between the Saskatchewan and, of course, the other provinces. Moving on, I want to know more about the environment because there are the issues like carbon taxes, and then these are the taxes, and then many other taxes such as carbon tax, as I mentioned, are not being really welcomed by the people. What what are the key policies that from this platform you would like listeners to, or viewers to know about the environment from Liberal Party?
This question I have a two-part answers.
Mm-hmm.
One is carbon tax and another one is environment. Of course, the way the world is changing. If we look at it other day, some reports are telling on social media that Kuwait City have a 63-degree and it's melting.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw yesterday also on one of the network that tomorrow will be 48+ degree in Kuwait City.
Mm-hmm.
So the environment is changing, and this is the big thing. And we have to leave something better for our children, which we are not thinking. We're thinking only today what we can make out of it, the money, other factors in that, but not we are thinking about generations to come. In that regard, present Saskatchewan government is, their motto look like do nothing and let it go as it is.
Okay.
But if we look at the NDP, they wanted everything, that when they come in the government has to do, and the people don't have to do anything. And we know everything according to them, and we will do everything and we will do the best. This is not the way it works. What Saskatchewan Liberal are proposing, that we will let the people to create that environment. Let's you bring a alternative solar energy, wind energy, put it into the grid, and then let's make everybody make money out of it. Everybody take responsibility of it. The prime example of that is just south of our border is North Dakota. They are producing 26% of their energy by the wind. Why we cannot?
Yeah.
So that's the problem. We are living into the old, according to one party, we want to live in the old cassette system. They don't want to come into new system, which is a USB system or the new the social media stuff, everything. And if we look at the NDP, they want to live in, we know everything, nobody else knows anything, so we're going to make it Crown Corporation, going to do everything, and then red tape is there. The people cannot enjoy. Coming back to the carbon tax, similar issue. If we look at it, its federal program at the moment has been announced by the federal government, Liberal government. Of course, they are putting money back to the people. There is a lot of concern. Some of the people have it. Depending on where you live, which province you live, every province have a different version on it. Nobody have presented a concrete plan.
Exactly.
And if we look at it, recently the provincial government have lost that one because the constitutional issue was raised. So it means there is no footing for the provincial government. They did not bring it. They are talking about the carbon capturing. And if we look at, there is one facility, I believe, south of our province, and we are paying more money than having a wind or a solar energy power plants. So where is the economical situation where we are living in the world? We are not looking into the examples, as I mentioned, North Dakota. There is no solution for the other parties.
Exactly.
Saskatchewan Liberals are proposing that once we get into the government, we will sit with the people of Saskatchewan, we will listen them, we prepare a policy which is suitable for all people of Saskatchewan.
Very good. Well, we will also use this platform and take this opportunity to learn more about your personal, professional achievements, because there got to be something, definitely something else which is very important for the people, for the communities of Saskatoon. So if we want to showcase your personal achievements, professional I should say.
A lot of people, I always argue with people that the people say, of course, I cannot say it's a negative way, it's a positive way, that a lot of people say I'm a very hard worker. I believe the other way around. I always say I'm a smart worker.
Okay.
And then beside than that, the luck has to be on your side. I am so much blessed that when I moved to this country, 1 week after I got a very nice job in a law firm. I worked for 7 years, a dream job, no push, no special favor, no nothing. It's my luck and as well as my hard work, because my smart work that I stayed there for 7 years. Coming to Saskatchewan, last 11 years, I have worked odd job in the beginning, but last 8 years I am running a small business, and I'm so much blessed that nobody can ever imagine it.
Yeah. Well, beside the professional achievements, living in the same community, since I belong to the same background, I have experienced and I have seen you working in order to bring developments in socially, and bringing improvements at the social level. If we want to discuss the social work of Naveed Anwar, like if he wants to bring improvements in social, which way, or what are the key things you have done in past for social work?
You see, the thing is that whatever I do work socially, I don't mostly open up myself, because it's between me and the creator.
Exactly.
So I always, whatever I do, it's on the side.
Yeah.
Like previously I said, I believe in it's a time to give back.
Exactly.
To this community, to this country, to this city, this province, and I always put aside whatever I make from my professional job or anywhere. There is some portion for the people of this province or this city or this country. I am doing whatever I can socially, and I do a lot.
Exactly. Of course, all of us know, even the kids would know that if you're running elections and if you're contesting in such events, and as we already mentioned earlier as well, that in back home and of course over here, the one difference is that the politicians do come to the community only by the time of elections. Only there are elections around the corner, and then they're firmly committing promises and making promises to the people. Of course, that's pretty understandable, crystal clear. But how important is the community involvement for a politician?
In my life, I have heard the rhetoric about that leg pulling, like the community, that gentleman don't like it, other person. Whoever I am today, I believe and I will be, it's because of the community. As I mentioned previously, 750 membership is, nobody could get it if the community was not supporting me. If I'm making a record of anything, if I'm making the best of my life, it's because of my community. And in my life, there's two things I believe in passionately, with blind eye or closed eye, is one, of course, sadaqah. And then the second is, it's my own belief, is the two nafla.
Exactly.
Every time in my life I have good or bad, I perform both things 100%. And I try to do every week. That's my life.
Very good.
So those are three things in my life. I am successful today: my community, sadaqah, and nafla.
And nafla. Some optional worship, right?
There you go.
Well, I again, like I've mentioned several times in this show earlier, that I personally have gained knowledge and I have learned. Again, this episode specifically in Baithak TV show is not and did not meant to be a political on show, because our guest has a pretty strong background in politics. So of course we definitely had to discuss and celebrate in today's show Naveed Anwar's political achievements and success in background. As we are heading to conclusion of the show, is there any message you want to convey to our listeners?
I mentioned it, 3 things.
Yeah.
If you start practicing those 3 things in your life,
Exactly.
you will have the best life. And then at the same time, you have to support the community. If you do not support the community, the problem is what community is giving me, people always ask. No, what you have to give. Giving hand is better than receiving hand.
Exactly.
So always be positive. Always support someone who is either lesser than you or equal to you.
Exactly.
You are not superior to anybody. You are not as smart than anybody else. Everybody is equal. The only is opportunity. And then the blessing, of course, Almighty. And today, whatever I am, friend like you, like community, people are promoting me. I don't promote myself. Like today, the Baithak is, it is my pleasure to be in a Baithak.
Thank you.
And it's kind people like you, a friend like you, and other one always put me in the front. Otherwise, I am the guy who always like to stay in the back.
Perfect. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Baithak, along our team, I am, and our entire team is very delighted and honored to host you today in today's show. And here we say goodbye and wind up today's episode with the great hopes that everybody who's listening out there and who's watching this Baithak TV show, and I keep saying listening because it's been a year that we have been doing a radio show, right? So anyway, anybody out there who's watching a Baithak TV show, I'm pretty much sure you guys have learned a lot about politics, and of course the beautiful message at the end that we learned from Mr. Naveed Anwar. So there's a lot more to come on in coming episodes of Baithak. So stay tuned and keep watching Baithak TV show, Pakistan's Face in Canada, right on Shaw Spotlight.